Welcome to the Adding Floor and Roof Assemblies tutorial for the Impact Estimator for buildings. In Impact Estimator, roofs and floor assemblies are virtually identical. I'm only going to demonstrate a floor assembly in this video, but the same information applies to roofs as well. So we're going to continue with a project that we've already been building in our tutorials, and it's loaded in the tree. And to add a floor assembly, I right-click on the project in the tree. I add assembly, I choose floors, and then we have a choice of a number of floor systems here. I'm going to choose concrete suspended slab, and the assembly form will open up. I'm going to give it a name. Then we need to describe the floor geometry. We only have two inputs here, the floor width and the span, and then some material choices down here and the units as usual. I'm going to show you a diagram here that explains how we must input width and span. Now, this is a suspended slab floor, let's say, the yellow portion of the diagram. The columns and beams here are perhaps what the floor would be sitting on, but they are not modeled in this assembly. They are modeled separately as columns and beams assembly. So we're really just looking at the yellow portion of this drawing. And you see here we have a 30-foot floor, 30 foot wide by 15 feet long here. It's just a fairly simple rectangular floor that's sitting on columns and beams. So we have a floor area of 450 square feet. And we need to model in Impact Estimator a floor area of 450 square feet. But we can't just input a 15-foot span and a 30-foot width to model this floor here. The span is the crucial measurement here. Span here is the maximum span of these two, which is 12 feet versus 3 feet. And that will determine how much material goes into this floor, basically how thick this floor needs to be to support itself over a 12-foot span at the live load that we've chosen. So we need to input a 12-foot span, but we still need to account for 450 square feet. So I want you to think of this floor as looking more like this in the red areas here. So we're going to input a span of 12 feet, and we're going to account for the 450 square feet by changing our floor width to 37.5 feet. Of course, you would never build something like this, but that's the slab we're going to model in the Impact Estimator. It will choose a floor thickness or an amount of material commensurate with a 12-foot span, and will account for the total volume of the floor with 37.5-foot width, giving us 450 square feet in total area. So I'm going to get rid of this drawing here, and we are going to change the floor width here to 37.5 feet and a span of 12 feet. And you'll see down here, floor area is calculated at 450 square feet. So we're accounting for all the materials we need to in that floor system. Then you can choose concrete types as usual. I'm choosing a 9,000 psi concrete for this floor. There is only the average fly ash choice here, and I'll choose a live load of 100 pounds per square foot. As usual, there is a help button at the bottom of the form, which will give you the suspended slab floor help file to help explain the input fields and the notes on this assembly type. We can add an envelope to the floor. I'm going to click over here to insert envelope. We have the floor assembly group chosen. We have gypsum board and paint. Let's add some paint, let's say, and we're going to use, let's use alkyd solvent-based paint. That's all you have to choose there. We click OK. We have solvent-based, oil-based paint added to our envelope, and we're going to click OK here. And the floor assembly group is added to our project, and the suspended slab assembly is added to the floors. We show here in the summary measure tree we've added almost 4 tons of GWP to our total, and we're up to 22.5 tons of GWP for the total of our project so far. Do a quick check of the bill of materials report. It reports at the top, bill of materials. I'll open this form up. And you see here we've added some 9,000 psi or 60 MPa concrete. That's the material we chose for our suspended slab floor. We've added some rebar. I don't know what the number for rebar was before, but we've added it in that floor system. And we added some solvent-based paint for our envelope materials. And that concludes the floor and roof assemblies tutorial.